We're here, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Everybody's here.
I just got the notification on. Oh no, sorry. Never mind.
Now, how do we share our this link to everybody?
We'll have to go to the YouTube page. So like now it's in our sub feeds, right?
Yeah.
Opening YouTube.
Oops. Does your voice sound like mine, Kerri? Like.
Okay, hold up. Yeah, I'm watching it now, to be honest.
Yeah. So everybody mute like the YouTube video page.
Oh, I'm not on it. I don't know how to get there.
Oh, you don't have to be on it. It's just to see the chat.
Oh.
But we are live.
Wow. Oh, hi, people.
We're live.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
And then we can share the YouTube. Hold on. I'm just going to stick it in the chat, and then we can like put it on Twitter.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to stick it in the chat.
I opened it up, and the first thing I saw was my face, and I was not prepared.
Oh, that's the thing about watching the actual YouTube one is you see yourself big, whereas on the Hangout,
and it's a little delayed, so like
I noticed that.
Follow.
Yeah, I was out of it for the A Darker Shade of Read-alongs one, so I just watched the Hangout and just sat with like a blanket over me, like I'm so jet lagged.
I feel it.
I'm just putting this on Twitter real quick.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Mental health.
Got 6 people watching. I don't know if that includes us or not, but
oh my god, it is so lagging. It's currently doing my blanket.
Hi, Brittany.
Hi, Brittany.
Hi, Brittany. All right, so
it's just us and Brittany. LOL.
Yes, one supporter. That's everything.
As long as Brittany's here, we're good. Hi,
yeah.
Tom's here. Tom.
Tom, you made it.
Tom.
He's hung around for us.
Okay, cool.
God bless anyone who stuck with us for a full
I know. Everybody, this is my fault. I should have knew. I should have did better.
Honestly, I appreciate that because I'm doing one of these next week, and now I know how to do it. Because
right. You know,
don't speak too soon.
You know
oh, don't jinx me, Emma.
Too late.
You won't get pizza.
How are
it's
you
all
still
on my couch.
That? I'd have had that inhaled by now. And I'd just be like, done.
Oh, I've been stress eating it while we've been figuring out. Don't worry. All of the crust is in my couch. It's fine.
Oh, all this time we weren't even thinking about
on her way home, so she should be here soon.
Okay, cool. That's fine. All right, everyone, welcome to Campfire live show Mental Health with Booktubers. Thank you for being here today. You guys are all amazing and awesome and beautiful and everything. And it's Saturday. What a better thing to do than this? Like, what else would you rather be doing? Nothing else, right?
I had no plans.
Nope. Me neither.
All right. So did Kerri say? I mean, sorry. Did Cait say she's going to be here like quite a bit later?
She said she was on her way home, and I said we've only just got live, so we've not missed much. And then she said she had her times mixed up, so I think she'll be with us in like within half an hour, maybe.
Okay.
I'm just guessing. I'm speaking for her.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's okay. We'll probably get started without her. So Tom's here, Brittany's here. How's everybody doing?
You mean us or them?
Both. How are you all doing?
I just gave a thumbs up. I was like, I don't know. I got pizza. I'm good.
I had a massage today, so I'm just like zen.
I've just been watching TV shows all day, so I'm pretty good too.
Have you been watching Vampire Diaries, Jen?
Yes.
Actually, for the first day in a couple months, no. I'm like hooked on this other show called Bates Motel.
Hey, Dylan.
Oh, I like Bates Motel. That's one.
Yeah, that's like my favorite show now.
So I started watching the new Vampire Diaries thing. What is it called?
Is it the originals or are you watching Legacies?
Legacies.
I have only watched the first 2 episodes, and I'm a hoe for it.
Wow.
Can we also discuss the fact that Pretty Little Liars is coming back? Like,
oh, gross.
I thought that was like fake. I thought that was like fake news. Like, I honestly did not.
Yikes. Okay.
It's hard watching the chat and also watching that. I don't know which one to watch.
I don't know how people do it either.
I've put on I've made 2 separate windows, so I have the Google Hangout. I'll send you a picture of Twitter, so I'm not seeing the delay.
Bless. Also, Dylan's here. Hey.
I know.
Hey.
We miss you.
Okay, let me
I don't know if I can do that.
Oh, you and me, girl. We got it.
Yeah, there we go. There was a delay, but it was good.
The delay.
Always the delay.
So do I pin the hotlines like in the chat? Yeah, I do that.
Yeah, you can do that.
So here's this.
For anyone in the chat, we're about to pin some resources. I think you took it from my video, right, Kev?
Yeah, I did.
So it's both some US and some international resources. If you go to the international link, I believe it has the hotlines for like every country, like the national hotlines. And if you live in the US, one of those links will help you find a therapist near you in your area and who I think is in your insurance, if you have insurance and you can put that in. I can't remember what links I put in that video. That was so long ago.
Yeah, and I also added like a texting one too if you feel better doing that. Okay, so wait a couple more minutes, let people settle in and find our chat, hopefully.
Already came to hang. Say hi, BB. Say hi, BB.
It suddenly got really cold.
So who watched Sex Education?
Me, I watched the whole show in like a week, and I'm
it's so good.
Can't wait for season 2.
Oh look, Nim Kobayashi's here.
Min, hi.
Hi.
Everybody's showing up, and I'm just like so happy about it.
Yeah, it warms my heart.
Cheers to everybody.
I just found my water.
Pull up your mics. Cheers. Also, for the record, I think I'm on my 3rd margarita, so this is going to be fun.
Mental health and some margaritas.
Drink responsibly, kids.
I gotta plug in my computer so I don't randomly just dive.
Oh, please don't.
Oh yeah, don't.
We've had enough trouble getting live. Don't do that.
I plugged it in. I'm a responsible adult, I swear.
That's all right. I feel the same. I did my taxes, and I got my return back today.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
And like, I feel so responsible. I'm like, I did this. I got my return. Like, now I'm gonna drink.
Number 4.
The best way to be.
Drink responsibly, kids.
Exactly.
I'm home. I'm not going nowhere. I have a dog. Not that that dog can call 911 if I need be, but.
Yes.
Oh, look at that. My friend Brittany's calling me out saying I'm not really an adult. Wow.
At this exact moment, it's like she knew.
She knew. We talk a lot, and so she knows I'm not an adult.
Every adult is faking it. Let's be real. Kev, are you the oldest one here?
Yeah.
Can you
definitely
confirm that no one's an adult?
I'm not an adult.
No one is. We're all faking it.
Oh, I need to plug my computer in too.
But it's one of those things where, like, then I see teenagers and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, you're so young.
I feel that.
Like, the kids I babysat are now, like, seniors in high school, and I'm like,
I can't even.
That's a mood, and I just can't. I'm going to eat more pizza.
Oh, that's also a mood.
Vinta, you're like 18, right? Or something?
I'm 16.
16?
I don't even
Oh!
You're a child.
being whole is cracked up to be okay.
You're so mature, though, honestly.
Literally, in your Bookmas vlogs, when you were back in high school, it was giving me, like, war flashbacks. I did not appreciate it.
Same. Watch those videos because although I still have to go, it does give me war flashbacks. It's like the videos all again.
I went to Catholic school, though, so my war flashbacks are probably different than yours.
Yeah, I'm glad my high school is trash, but like
I went to a British high school. I know the struggle.
I went to a very Texas high school like honestly, our flag was like a rendition of the Confederate flag.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, and our mascot was the rebels.
actual war flashbacks.
Oh,
Wait, but how
I got
many
a
like pickup trucks did you have in your student parking lot that had rebel flags on the back of the window?
most of them, all of them.
Most of them, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
1 second. Dogs, be free.
All I can think of is my sophomore year of high school when we had a stabbing at homecoming.
Wow.
I'm not kidding.
Tell me the story behind this first. Of all. I need to know this story.
It was over a girl, and the guy got jealous, and he stabbed a kid from another school.
That is some Courtney Summers shit, and I need them to not.
Oh my gosh. No, that sounds crazy.
I was there that night too.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Like, was it like everybody like ran out when they figured out, or was like, did they figure out after the kid like went to the hospital?
It was like when it happened. I had left like 2 minutes prior, and I was actually in that spot the whole night. I was driving home, and I saw the ambulance going to the high school.
See, I don't know if it was like that there, but in Scotland, everyone would have been around just going, fight, fight, fight. And
Oh my God.
that's what we're like. We're really nice people.
No, you're not. Don't lie.
Kerri's exposing me.
You put on that front, but we all know, Emma. We all know.
Oh, hi, Joe. Look, Joe in the chat said hi to
Joe's
me.
here,
Oh,
Rachel.
Yes.
Hey, Joe.
He didn't say
Brittany
hi.
says, wow, making my high school seem normal as hell. LOL.
Wait, Brittany, you're in Scotland. How do I not know this?
She goes in a master program in like somewhere near VE Schwab's. That's all I know.
Wait, as in Edinburgh?
Yeah, I think so.
Near VE Schwab. Can we just discuss that's how she does
I don't know this.
geography?
I love it. People are in Edinburgh.
I have a small obsession, not gonna lie.
Well, with Edinburgh.
Yeah, she's studying abroad. Yeah, I think in Edinburgh. Yeah. Probably
Do you
saying
say
it wrong. sorry.
Edinburgh? Are we going to have the conversation?
I have a slight southern twang. Leave me alone.
A southern
No.
twang.
Edinburgh. Like bruh.
Like bruh, like bruh.
Bruh.
Like
Edinburgh.
That's
I'm gonna
the
go to
first thing I've
Edinburgh
ever done
and
that in my
make
life.
it
I don't
here.
think I'll do it again.
Rachel.
Have we all settled in? Would we like to start?
Yeah.
I don't know how long.
Yeah, let's get started. All right, everyone, welcome to Mental Health Live Show with Booktubers today. Today we have Emma, we have Kerri, we have Binta, we have Amanda, we have Maris, and soon to be on Cait, but she is on her way driving, and myself, of course. And thank you for all coming here. Thank you for taking the time to join us on this lovely, lovely afternoon/evening or morning, wherever you live. And today we are here to talk about our personal stories that we would want to share with you guys about our mental health. And this may include some trigger warnings, and there could be things on like OCD, suicide, sexual trauma, depression, severe anxiety, agoraphobia, depression, anxiety attacks, self-harm, eating disorder, suicide, and domestic abuse. So be aware of that, and we will let you know before we share our own individual personal stories about what general warnings that we might have for our stories. And you are welcome to leave the chat a little while or put it on mute while the person is talking if anything is too triggering for you. And just come back once the person switches over, I guess. And just listen in and see if there's still anything that may be too much for you. Yeah, so I am going to start with myself, and each person's gonna go, we're gonna go around and give our own little story, and each person will have about 10 to 12 minutes, and after that, we'll open it up to questions after each person. And then also, if you guys still have questions, we can open up for questions right at the end too. And if you want, let us know if you want to take questions during when you give your story for the hosts. For any of you hosts that want to take any questions while giving your story. And yeah, I think that's all I need to cover. Also, hotlines are down below. Resources, there's international hotlines, and there's a U.S. crisis hotline, and also a texting hotline if you're more comfortable with that. And there's website links as well in the description. And also, I have left it on the the comment section and pinned it over there. So make sure to check that out as well. Okay, wonderful. And yeah, everybody.
Your computer on.
We are all. What'd you say?
Kate's just getting her computer on, so she'll be here.
Oh yeah, Kate's gonna be joining us shortly. That's lovely. Can someone send her the link, or do I have to do that?
No, it's in our Twitter chat, right?
It should be in our Twitter chat already. Yeah.
So Emma, just text her to use the most recent link since we sent so many. No shade.
No.
Yay, Kate's here. I'm so excited. So we'll just type what you want to let her join.
Oh, that picture that you sent on the chat of just me, like, oh. I'm like way too excited.
He's like,
can we just discuss the fact that my dog flipped over her food bowl and now the food's all over the floor in addition to pizza being stuffed in my couch?
You're not getting over this pizza.
Food Wonderland.
I'm just gonna leave it. She'll eat it. It's fine.
It's beautiful.
Oh, Ace is here.
Yay.
He woke up from a nap and got here. Yay. Hi, Asa.
Hi.
Who? What?
Asa from Dreaming of Books.
Oh, hi. Okay, it took me a second.
Don't act like you're innocent. You spilled that food.
Brittany had to go because she's like, it's too late. I'm going to bed.
Okay. Well, she showed her support. That was awesome. Still.
Bye, Brittany.
She's like, she texted me. She's like, it's too late. I'm going.
But let's all give a round of applause for Emma, who's on here at like damn near midnight her
Right?
time. Like,
yeah.
What a damn queen.
Emma.
We stand.
I'll
I'm
just
drinking a margarita for you.
Please do. And eat the pizza.
I'll eat another piece of pizza for you. Hopefully it won't get stuffed in my couch. For anyone watching this without background, because I just realized we talked about this in the private chat, I've currently got a foster dog who was a stray before I took her in. And so she's got some food hoarding tendencies that include putting pizza crusts in my couch. Don't act like I'm not talking about you. You know this. Hello. Goodbye. Go. Vete, 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 vete.
So you just adopted that dog?
I'm fostering her. Yeah, she came from an abusive home, and then she was a stray for a little bit, and then she got picked up by a county shelter.
Oh my
so
God.
she's with me until she finds an adoptive home.
It's almost like one in Germany. I'm not about that life.
Wow.
Whoever's
Rachel
watching this at 1 o'clock in Germany, I'm gonna drink a margarita for you too, because damn.
Rachel Marie.
Can you tell I'm looking for reasons to drink my margarita?
And Rachel's moving somewhere, I think.
Oh yeah, where's Rachel going?
Yeah,
She
Rachel,
hasn't said. I
tell
think
us,
it's
where are
going to
you
be a
going?
surprise.
She's like whole ass moving, and I had a whole discussion with her, but then like I never asked what country she's moving to because I'm sorry, Rachel, I love you.
I know, it's
driving me mad.
Do you know what it is? I'm calling her out. It's her Cancer moon.
It's what?
It's her Cancer moon.
Oh.
Cancers are all
Hey,
good.
Rachel, we're both moving. We're both like, what bam?
I think she's moving to like France, and she doesn't want to say because then I'm gonna be like, "Hi, I'm moving in with you."
Hi, just gonna come move to you with France.
Yeah. A wee baguette.
Wait,
Oh, wait, but
who is
all will be
Mello-
revealed soon, Rachel. I swear to God.
Wait. Who is Mello Anthony? You live in
Melanie.
Las Vegas? I live in Las Vegas. I didn't think there was any other booktubers in Las Vegas.
World
Hey,
is so
Mel to the Any is there. Brittany Bibliophile is there. Like, there are so many in your town.
Oh my gosh, come and hit me up before I leave.
I know Mel's in the chat. Hi, Mel. Love
Mel.
you. You my fave. Kerri, drink your drink every time someone comments in the chat, bitch. That's going to get me lit. Also, I can't remember who was doing these shirts, but someone was doing these on BookTube, and like I bought one, and they're cute.
That is cute.
Oh my God,
I like it.
They have like books and a TV and headphones and a camera and like a phone.
I dig it.
It's cute. I can't remember who did it. I feel like it was one of those like campaign things to raise money for something, but
Nice.
I forgot I ordered it because it took so long to get here, and then I was like, present to myself.
I got a text and it scared me.
My life.
Well, your apartment is haunted, so.
That is true. It was just my mom.
Hi,
Was
Amanda's
your mom trying to
mom.
find creamer for you too?
No, she wanted to know when I was going to come to her house and do laundry. I don't do laundry in my apartment.
I feel it.
So
Are we
yeah,
still
we're
waiting
just
on Cait,
waiting
or
for Cait
Kev, do you want to
right
go?
now,
Sorry.
and if she takes a little bit longer, then we'll just go ahead and start. But we'll just wait a couple more minutes here. And then
Just
what
for the record, you all capsed her name in the message, so it's like, how is it looking, Cait?
I'm here.
That's what you guys
Hello.
are doing to me.
There she
Yay!
Hi.
You hear heavy
Hi.
breathing. It's because I live on the 3rd floor and I just like ran up all 3 of those floors.
Oh,
That's
real
fine.
chaos.
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
not
we've got
recommending-
another one in the visually impaired crew.
We're visually impaired.
I wear contacts.
Kevin's leading the blind.
Yeah.
No, I wear contacts. I'm just as blind.
So the blind's leading the blind. Awesome.
Awesome.
That's just wonderful.
As it should be.
We're all going to run into a wall.
All right, you guys, thank you all for coming. And for those of you who didn't hear, I am going to state everything again. This is a mental health live show, including your favorite booktubers, right? And we are all going to go around and share our personal stories that we want to share, and we can share as much or as little as we want, whatever we feel comfortable with. And there are definite trigger warnings. OCD, suicide, sexual trauma, depression, severe anxiety, trichotillomania, agoraphobia, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, self-harm, eating disorder, suicide, and domestic abuse. And also pinned to the chat and also in the description, there are resources and hotlines, including an international website, a US crisis hotline, and then a US texting hotline if you're more comfortable with that, and also a website for anxiety and depression. So those are available to you if you want. And then also, as we go around, we will be sharing our personal stories, like I said. And before that, we will give you some general warnings about what we're going to go into with our personal stories. And you're welcome to mute the chat or exit the chat for a minute or 10 minutes or so, because each person's going to speak for 10 to 12 minutes. And come back after they speak. So if you want to continue on. And we will be having questions depending on the person speaking, depending on the host, whether they want to take questions during or after they speak. So there'll be a couple minutes for that. Additionally, we'll open up for questions right at the end if that's necessary or if we want to, okay? And then I will probably begin first with my story, or actually I will. Everybody good?
Do your thing, bro.
Yay.
Love it.
So yeah, thank you all for being here once again. Okay, so for my personal story, I'm gonna be talking about pretty much my upbringing, because I think that's where a lot of our mental health things come from. A lot of our mental issues or illnesses. And myself, for my family growing up and stuff, there was definite depression and some schizophrenia and also domestic abuse. Okay, and basically, my family was. And let me figure out a timer here. So right now it's 3:50. I want to finish by around 4-ish in California. 3 to 10 minutes. So watch out. We're going over 3 minutes, guys. Okay. So my family is from Cambodia, and we're Chinese actually. And my parents were brought over to the United States by a church group actually, and they went through this thing called the Khmer Rouge. It's like these. It's sort of like a refugee camp thing, and it's sort of like an internment camp thing in Cambodia. And as a result of that, they have suffered from a lot of like post-traumatic things, like feelings from that. And I remember my mom talking about her being in the mountains and stuff, and being led different spots where she didn't know where she was going and stuff. But fortunately, they were able to come over to the United States. And my family does not really speak about a lot of like more sensitive topics and stuff. So it's actually rumored that I used to have an older brother, I heard that, and then he passed away when he was young, like in Cambodia. But my parents don't speak about it because like we're so bad at communication. And yeah, so I think it's true because I don't know, I just feel something strange and like missing in me and something sad. So I don't know what that is. And since I don't really talk to my parents that much, it's really hard for me to ask them about that. And you know, like this happens a lot in Asian families where you just don't communicate your feelings. And I've never really had people to like, besides some friends, short of a few friends, I've never really had people to share some of the things I've been through, you know? Like, I mean, some of the things I've experienced growing up and not having to someone to outlet that to. So anyways, my parents came to the United States and first came to New York, and my dad got a job and stuff. And then pretty quickly, he saved up enough money and moved to California. And he started a business, which was actually a donut shop, which is actually common in Southern California. There's a lot of Asian people that have donut stores. And that's where I work. And Emma knows about this.
I still want a donut.
Yeah.
Wait.
A donut store, and then we also have a liquor store. So between those two stores, I'm like helping them run those two stores. And fortunately, it's been great because it's helped me get through school and stuff, and they've been able to help me in that way. But on the opposite side, like my dad works so much and my mom works so much that they're there. Like my dad works 12 hours a day, and then he drives an hour commuting like every single day. I don't know how he does it. And then like we usually open like every holiday, Christmas, New Year's, and everything, and they just work all the time. So like, I don't know, they're not there, they're not around. So that's the thing. And so my parents were abusive, like physically, and then also verbally. So for my sisters got more of it, and then my sister ended up getting a much more depression than I did. And fortunately, I was able to cope a lot myself. Like I found a lot of ways to like cope, so that helped me a lot. And definitely, my older sister got the worst end of it because she was physically hit and stuff. And it's not a fun time because every time that happened, your whole like week or month would be just I don't know, you just couldn't, you were just so like numb. And like I would go to school with my sister and I would just see her leg, like, I mean, she just like kind of like drag her leg a little bit because she was like hit and stuff, you know? And and then the worst thing was like my older sister started going to, she started taking antidepressants and stuff. And she started getting schizophrenia, and it wasn't a fun time for her family. I just remember like the saddest thing was like when my sister was in the mental hospital, like my dad would call and he would feel really bad and stuff, and to talk to my sister, and then my sister would say, I just want to go home. And then that was just like so heartbreaking for me. And yeah. And then anyways, like growing up, I just never thought, like, I shut out my emotions because it was just too much to bear and too much to feel, that I always thought like emotions were bad. So I started even reading sort of books that, interestingly enough, that kind of said like, oh, your emotions are bad and waste your energy. So I was just like, emotions are bad. I cannot feel anything. I just have to like shut it all out and just be like full concentration, no emotion. And it's such a masculine thing too. I think that guys are like, oh, emotions are bad. And same with like an Asian thing. Like we're not really good in general at expressing our feelings. And I think that has affected me so much because now, I mean, like now I know better to like speak about everything that I feel when I feel bad and stuff. But like growing up, I just didn't have any outlet to express to, basically. Yeah, but anyways, not a sob story because not completely a sob story because I did grow up in a more affluent area, and I was privileged in that way. And a lot of ways I feel like I'm privileged too. So I do see the positive side of it. Sure. Yeah. And is there any questions about that or anything? No. Okay, yeah. So anyways, some other things are, I used to be, I mean, I still am, but like I used to be like really, really painfully shy in elementary school. And I just wouldn't talk a lot because I just could not relate to anybody. I grew up around mostly Caucasian people, and most of my friends were Caucasian. And then I adopted kind of like an American misogynistic perspective growing up. So there's a lot of like unlearning of that too. And then because my sister would take medication and stuff, and I'm not against medication. Definitely, you need medication if you go to a doctor and are prescribed it. Some people do need medication for help and stuff. But for myself, I've kind of stayed away from medication mostly because of what it kind of has done to my sister. And I instead sought out like different like spirituality groups and stuff. So I would do meditation and yoga and just everything actually. So, and that was really helpful. Yeah. And so like, I said this in my video too, like that I last posted, that BookTube has been sort of a safe space for me because it's pretty feminine dominant as far as like the people and the energy and stuff. So I always will come back to BookTube and come back to sort of the feminine energy and thank them for that because they've allowed me a space to express myself and feel safe. So thank you. Yeah, I think I'm done unless you guys have any more questions because that's sort of my quick story.
I don't know if we have any questions in the chat, Kev, but do you have any words for someone who may be going through what you experienced when you were younger as well?
Yeah, definitely. As much as you can, it's best to find some friends or some family that you can talk to about it. And try to be, it's okay to express your feelings. It's okay to feel bad. And yeah, just be, if you can, just be aware of what you're feeling and share that. Yeah. I think that's it. Rachel Marie, I had a lot of bad experiences with medication, and from that, a lot of family members and friends have said they wouldn't take meds. It's a shame because we are all different. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, so do you guys have any comments in general? Like, what do you guys think about my story or anything? Or
I'm glad that you you're doing good, you know?
Yeah,
Like you
definitely.
didn't like stop you or whatever. Like you moved like not really past it really, but like you're a better person for it and you found an outlet and stuff like that. So that's definitely
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Thank you, Vinta.
And we love you. So
Aw,
Exactly.
thank
Yeah.
you.
I think it's really interesting too about how like our siblings' mental health really affects our mental health too.
Yeah, because the interesting thing is, I wasn't physically abused myself,
Yeah.
but it lives with me so much.
Yeah, you still felt it.
Yeah. Are you guys okay? Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Sorry, someone was walking in my room. They were like this. They're like, "Hello," and I'm like, "No."
you walked in at the wrong time. Please leave.
I'm going back. The cat
Yeah.
just wants in my room.
Okay. Does anybody else want to go next?
We had like a list, didn't we, in the chat?
Yeah, we have a list, but I was just making sure if anybody wanted just to go next, anyways.
Mhm.
I don't know what the list.
Cait, you were listed next, but do you still want to go next, or?
If I could, since I just like walked in the door.
You want
If
some
I
more
could
time
just-
to like get your
Yeah,
head
I just need to like.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
my brain is a little scrambled at the
that's fine.
moment.
The next person is Kerri.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, Naomi's here. Hi.
Hey. So, hi, anybody who is just now joining. My name is Kerri. I live in North Carolina in the United States. My mental health experience really starts when I was just about to enter high school. I'm going to be talking about cancer, chronic illness, depression, anxiety, and eating disorders throughout my story. So please be aware of that if that's triggering to you. So the summer before I entered high school, my mom got deathly sick. I forget what the technical diagnosis was, but at the time she was in the hospital for about a week and a half. And then when she came out, it took her about 4 years to fully recover. It had something to do with her lungs. She has really bad lungs. I inherited that. So fun for me. So what started there was I was about 13. My sister was about 10. And my dad at the time was just starting his own company. He's a clinical psychologist. So he was starting out his own company, so he wasn't home a lot. So my sister and I sort of had to take over the household. So from the time that I was 13, I really grew up. Like I was cooking, I was cleaning. My sister and I had this joke that like I became mom and she took care of mom. So anything my mother needed, my younger sister would just like get for her. And then I did the laundry, did the cleaning, did the cooking, make sure everything was good, make sure mom took her meds, all of that. So I really sort of had to grow up quick and become more responsible for everybody in my family. And then you add on to the fact that my dad was never home. So when he came home, he was super tired and I wanted to take care of him as well. That sort of extended throughout my high school years. My mom started to get better once I entered college, which was really good. But then my first year of college, my sister got really sick. My sister has a chronic health condition. I forget what it's called. It's really complicated, but essentially her lower intestine stopped working. So she can't process food. And on top of that, she developed anorexia nervosa. So she got down to double digits in weight and she was hospitalized. She has a heart condition and her heart was not able to function on its own. And that happened while I was away at school, just before I left for the end of the year. So when I came home, I sort of retook on that caretaker role. And from there, I really just sort of, I have since learned in therapy that I developed sort of a inferiority complex. And that's really sort of where the depression and anxiety started to come into play, because I'd spent so many years of my life taking care of other people. I started to think that I wasn't worth being taken care of. I told myself I wasn't going to cry, but I'm tearing up. So let's just ignore that and move on. But So my sister's still sick. She's actually at the emergency room right now with a complication, but she's doing okay. My dad's with her and she's all right. The doctors are taking care of her. So no need to worry about her. She's okay. But that's really sort of where that started to thrive. And then it wasn't until I was in my junior year of college where my sister got real bad. And she was hospitalized again. And she had, I think, like 3 or 4 back-to-back surgeries. And obviously that's, you know, hard on her physically and mentally. On top of that, you know, there was a lot of, you know, money issues with my family because, you know, all that shit costs money. And so that's really sort of where I slipped into a huge depression. And a lot of my issues were thinking that I'm not worth taking care of. I'm not worth anything. My whole point of being here is to take care of other people. And it took me going on medication, big proponent of medication, and going through therapy to realize that that's completely not true. Just by virtue of being human, I do have value and am deserving of taking care of myself and being taken care of, even if my first instinct is to take care of others because of my history. And then I graduated college and my dad got cancer. And that's actually the second time my dad had cancer, second and third. So when I was 7, he had cancer, but we were so young, they kept it from us. Like it was never a thing that affected us growing up. While he was going through treatments, we like went, it was like during the summer. So we went to visit grandma and grandpa, and my other grandparents came and stayed with him while he was going through his procedures. So he got cancer again. And that was one of those like, holy shit moments. And I don't live close to home anymore. So even though I'm out of school, I wasn't able to take care of him. And it was a lot of stress on my mom. So that was a lot of guilt for me because that was my role that I was fulfilling for so many years. But, you know, I'm still on my medication. I started going back to therapy and that's really been helping. My dad is cancer-free now. He's been cancer-free for over a year. It was a year in December. So good on him. We had a little party and everything. But the main thing that I want to, you know, speak to anyone that's going through this is if you have taken on the caretaker role in your family, even if you're not like the breadwinner, if you're the one taking care of everybody else, you are deserving of being taken care of as well. You are not just here to take care of others and then just exist off to the side. You have your whole life that you get to live. And it's perfectly okay if you need to go on medication. I currently take 360 milligrams of different medications a day. And I still regularly go to therapy. And because I know that's not always super accessible for everybody, like I mentioned, my dad's a clinical psychologist. He specializes in working with people that have developmental disabilities. So like people that are on the autism spectrum and have cerebral palsy and things like that. But having him close when I was going through all of this in college really sort of came in clutch because like he still knows his shit as a psychologist. So I was super lucky to have him while I was going through that. But one book that I want to recommend to you guys, because I know there's tons of shitty self-help books out there. I know Emma's probably going to talk about one that she was reading the other day. We were talking about
so bad.
Oh, girl, it was pissing me off. So it's this book. It's called Lift Your Mood Now, Simple Things You Can Do to Beat the Blues. This is by John D. Preston. He has a PsyD, which is a doctorate in psychology. And he probably has some more books since this came out. This came out a while ago. But this is one of his bestsellers. It just has some small things that you can do on your own if you don't have the resources to get on medication or go to therapy. More like self-care things, you know, how to change your diet and exercise and things that you can do to sort of help yourself if you don't have those resources. My father's actually also a best-selling author of psychology books, and he based a lot of his stuff off of this. Nice. So this is like good shit. It has been like verified by some of the top psychologists in the country. But just because I know I was so damn lucky to have my dad, as soon as he saw these signs in me, take me directly to my doctor, get me directly into therapy. But I know not everybody has that opportunity. So this is a resource that I would absolutely recommend to you guys to try. It has everything from like how to get your sex drive back to like how to improve your sleep. Like this shit goes into depth.
I love it.
I love it too. And I know I'm coming close to my time, but I was going through my phone while we were talking in our Twitter group chat. And I came across, when I was in therapy, I started taking down some of the things my therapist told me that really stuck with me, and they stick with me to this day.
Yeah.
One of those is even Superman has to take off his cape sometimes. Even if you feel like you need to have a front on for the rest of the world, even if you feel like you need to have it on all the time, you don't. Even Superman has to take his cape off sometimes. You absolutely have permission to feel whatever you're feeling, to, you know, break down if you need to ask for help if you need to. And then the second one, which really sort of sticks with me, is depression demands to be felt. And if you don't feel it on your terms, it makes you feel it on its terms. So if you are struggling with depression, you really need to acknowledge it and start working with that in mind going forward, because if you try to ignore it and push it down, it's just going to kick your ass later on and you're going to really hate it.
I feel it.
And that's something that I learned the hard way for sure. So that's just a little bit of advice from my first therapist to you guys. And then absolutely check this book out if you just need some tips to just sort of get through daily life. That absolutely helps. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I know that cancer is a common diagnosis with everybody. So if you ever need someone to talk about, if someone close to you has been diagnosed with cancer, absolutely, please come to me. I'm more than willing to lend an ear, especially with regards to something like that, because it can be really hard, especially for family members. So thank you guys for listening. I don't know if we have any questions.
Yeah, any questions, guys? Hi, Mayana.
Hi, Maya. I don't think there are any questions. There's a lot of these comments. I'll read them later and I'll like DM all of you guys saying thank you, because I know you guys are amazing. But I think that's it for me. So thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Such a good story.
Yeah, it's such a great story. I think that's just great advice for anybody in general, because I think a lot of times we all do take on so much anyways. So I just saw Cait talking about how she just learned how, like, she just was recently delegating a lot more. So I think that's good.
It's good for your health.
Also, pro tip, it helps to have a fuzzy animal around. I foster dogs, so I foster puppies.
Agree with that.
Dreaming of Books is asking, what's the first step in dealing with depression?
I think, I don't know. Does anyone else have an idea for that? Because
I think
Such a hard one.
I think we need to first start talking about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm very new to mental health, but I think the first step for me was, first of all, admitting I had it.
Yes.
Because for the longest time, I could not admit it. And so I think the first thing you need to do is you need to admit it, and that you need to admit that you can't do it by yourself.
For sure.
And I think that's the first step I had to take when I figured it out.
Yeah.
And it's not a sign of weakness that you can't do it by yourself. It's not like, literally, once you develop depression, it literally means your brain is not producing the same chemicals that everybody else's is. Like, I think we've all seen that Tumblr meme where it's like, if you can't make your own serotonin receptor, store-bought is fine.
Yes.
Right. I like that one.
It's not a statement on your character and your personality that you can't handle this, because no one can on their own. Everybody has a support system that they rely on. So.
Keeping tabs is also asked, is probably more relevant to you, Kerri, specifically. Do you have advice for someone who's hesitant to see a therapist? And she did put, never mind you're answering it, but I don't know if you have any sort of more specific advice on that front.
If you're hesitant to see a therapist, first of all, you don't have to commit to a therapist completely. All therapists will do like a trial session to see if they really work with you, because not all patient therapist relationships are perfect. So if you go try one and it doesn't feel like the right match, try a different one. There are tons in every single city that you can try. Sort of like trying on clothes, like find the dress that makes you look fucking hot. Find the therapist that you feel will help you best. You are not stuck with the first person you see.
Definitely.
And they're not going to be offended.
Therapists are used to that.
Yelp and find which one you feel like best fits you, what you're most comfortable with, for sure. Because that's what I did.
And a lot of places, I mean, okay, I work in mental health and I talk about that a lot. I'm a music therapist, so I don't have, I'm not like a psychotherapist. I do groups, I do therapeutic groups and stuff like that. But I still understand like the therapeutic relationship. And with that, we're used to not clicking with everybody. And that's fine. It's not going to hurt our feelings with that. Everybody that goes into it. Yeah. Everybody that goes into it does it for a reason. And want you to, find what you need. And if we don't work for you, if someone doesn't work for you, then they usually will also help you find someone else. So.
And on most websites, I think most therapists will list their specialties and what they have the most experience in dealing with. So definitely check that out. I know after my first therapist, which I saw in the town that I went to school in, once I came back home for the summer, I wanted to find another one. And so I was looking for someone that specialized in the certain things that I was dealing with. So that's definitely a thing that you can search for. You don't just have to like blindly walk into a therapist's office and be like, do you do this? Like,
all right, we're going to move on to the next person.
I can go ahead and slide in if you want.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Okay, let me look at the time. So you said 10 to 12 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't even know where to start. I'm kind of nervous because even on my channel, I don't say every detail in case certain people find my channel. So for mine, let me introduce, I'm Cait. I'm from Chapter Cait. I live in South Carolina. A lot of my stuff started like that I can remember it in middle school, but some of the stuff I went through started a lot earlier than that. I'm going to be discussing domestic abuse, panic attacks, suicidal ideation, self-harm, OCD tendencies, disordered eating, and dissociation. I think that's everything.
Also, I'm sorry that as soon as you said dissociated eating, I literally pulled pizza onto the screen. I feel like that was a terribly timed joke, but it wasn't. I swear to God.
So disordered eating and dissociation. Yes. Okay. So that's my whatever, my intro. So I grew up in a very volatile home. My parents, my mom got pregnant when she was like 18, so they weren't really like done growing up when they had me, and they got married like shortly after I was born and everything, so they weren't fully aware of themselves when they got married.
Right.
My father's a really big man. He's like 6'5". He's strong. He's loud. He's a lot. And my mom is very up and down. So like her moods are very up and down, and she's not good. Neither of them are good at communicating. I grew up in a household where it was constant yelling. It was constant fighting. It was just normal for me to hear yelling all the time. We had this one house, and I would try to like hide behind the couch when they would yell. Then I'd be yelled out not to try and hide from it, which was even more terrifying. I'd be yelled at to make eye contact with the person who's yelling at me. It's just loud all the time. And there was one time when I was 4 is when it started getting scarier. Because that's when Dad started destroying stuff. He would punch holes in the wall. He would slam a door so loud that all the glass just broke out of it. It was, it started getting scarier because it was physical things. And he would break my mom's stuff a lot. So it was a lot of intimidation as well. I will say he didn't. I'm raised in the South, and a lot of families, spanking is like normal in their families. So punishment for me was that was my punishment as well. I want to say that it was never done out of anger, but I don't know, because a lot of it's blurry. So I don't know if it was to the point of abuse or not. And none of that's a big debate for a lot of people around here. It is considered normal. I won't say that that's a positive thing, but for a lot of people, that is like what they grew up with. I didn't really notice a lot of. I didn't really notice that a lot of things that I did were because of what I was going through. But I did when I was little. I talked very fast. I mumbled everything. I talked very quietly, and I did it a lot. I feel like because I didn't want to be heard, but I did want to be heard, and so if I said it fast, I could just like it's like ripping off a band-aid. I could get it out, and then I wouldn't have to deal with it. So I did know that there's some things that kind of showed that maybe I was dealing with that, and I still do talk really fast a lot of times and mumble, and I have to consciously not do that. But it is a lot worse at sometimes than others. But anyway, getting past that, I started noticing shifts in my mood in middle school, and in middle school, I started noticing that I had days where I was really hyper and happy and creative and fun and funny, and people liked me and everything was great. And then I had days where I was so depressed and lonely and sad and guilty, because there's a lot of guilt that comes with growing up in an abusive home, because you feel like everything is your fault. And I was an only child too, so who else? It couldn't be their fault because they're the ones doing it. It had to be somebody else. I blamed myself for everything. But I did start attributing my like mood swings to like the weather. I was like, oh, it's rainy, and every time it was rainy, I would feel hyper, and so I thought it was like just the weather, and I don't know what that was about, but I tried to attribute it to something. But I still didn't really know much about it. And then in high school, everything kind of got worse. My anxiety got worse, depression got worse, mood swings got worse, my parents fighting got worse. Eventually in my senior year, I started self-harming, but I didn't really see it as such because I wasn't cutting myself. I was scratching like my skin until it was just bad. And so I didn't get help for that because it wasn't cutting, so it wasn't, in my head, that wasn't the same. And it started happening. My parents were yelling at me or yelling at each other. And in high school, the abuse in the home got worse because there was a situation where, I don't know if it was an accident or not, but my mom ended up getting hit in the, face and having to go to the hospital, and we had to lie to doctors. And it was scary. And there was several occasions where I had to dodge things as things were being thrown and all that kind of stuff. And it was just a lot. It was just a lot. And so I finally got to go to college. Yay. And I thought, I'd be away from everything, so it wouldn't be a problem anymore. But the mood swings, the ups and downs got worse. I couldn't pay attention. I would find myself wandering my college campus at 3 a.m. and writing, composing like these choral pieces. I would stay up every other night, wouldn't sleep, all this kind of stuff. So I eventually went to the doctor, and I went to the wellness center. I tried to use resources that were available to me. And they told me I had ADHD, and I was like, well, I don't know. I didn't really know if that was correct, but it seemed like it because I couldn't pay attention ever. And I was always all over the place. But then I went to another doctor, and I told him what was going on, and I said, I have a lot of OCD tendencies. I don't think I have OCD, but I do a lot of things. I count things. I do things straight. I redo things more. I think about stuff over and over again. I have intrusive thoughts. And then I would be like, but sometimes I can't get out of bed, but sometimes I do this, but sometimes I do that. And eventually they decided that I was bipolar. And so bipolar disorder was my new identity at that point. I adopted it as, that's who I was. And I did get on medication for it. And I started having panic attacks in college as well. When somebody would argue near me, I would just completely have a panic attack. And everything's very blurry when I try to recount it like in a timeline because it seems like it all avalanched. But I did eventually get on medication for panic attacks, for ADHD, for mood stabilizing, for anxiety, and then for sleeping. So I was on like 5 different things. But then my dad lost his insurance, so I had to go off everything at once. And that was terrible also. But college was a mess. I was glad that I survived college. Pretty much the main thing that kept me alive in college was the fact that if I tried to do something, I would never be able to find a job in my field. And that's what I thought like the whole time. And so Anyway, so I did get a job in my field. I work as a music therapist now. I work at a psychiatric hospital. Things are pretty good. But in 2015, I did find out who my, biological father was, and that threw another wrench into things. Found out that my dad wasn't my dad. He was my dad, but he wasn't my biological dad, and so my whole identity was confused again. I did go to partial hospitalization for a while because I was having pretty persistent suicidal thoughts. And when I did go to that, they diagnosed me as PTSD as well, as having PTSD. Which, here's the thing with bipolar and PTSD, both of those diagnoses like surprised me, even though I had been studying this stuff forever. They both surprised me. And I don't know if I was just trying to avoid those things, because PTSD seems like something that somebody who went through something worse should have, not me, and I don't, and it makes me feel like such a weak person, which is ridiculous. I would never tell my patients that they should feel weak for that diagnosis, but for myself, I'm a lot meaner to myself. I still have pretty regular issues with it. I've had a lot of issues with medications. I've had a doctor that's literally written on the prescription pad that I needed to pray more, like on an actual prescription pad. Like, instead of writing, oh, you're going to get some, I don't know, antidepressants, whatever, they wrote, pray and read your Bible daily. And I was like, okay, I'm never coming back here. And
that's the most southern thing I've ever heard.
I know.
Christ.
That's
oh my God.
That's this place. And so that happened. And I did eventually get on medications, but I have a really hard time with medications because anyone who has like a mood disorder, when ups are so fun and you feel so much more of a person, you feel so vibrant when you're up, that when you take a mood stabilizer, you feel like a gray blob of a human being. You don't feel like you have a personality. You feel like basically someone reached inside you, took your personality, and threw it away. And I'm not saying that I'm against medication, because I'm not. Medication does wonders for people and keeps people alive and allows you to live your best life. I have not been able to find a good balance yet with medication. There's not a lot of great psychiatrists around here. I'm trying to find one that respects me as a human being and looks me in the eye when I shake their hand. It doesn't just, look at the notepad the whole time. So that's what I'm working on currently. I've been out of therapy for a year. I'm going back to therapy on my birthday, which is the 19th. So I'm going back to therapy. Hopefully from there I can get back on medications. I still struggle with things. I'm not like a success story, because mental illness doesn't just resolve a lot of times. In fact, even this week was terrible. I had a lot of issues this week. So I will say with mental illness, it's a lot of times it's not something that just goes away. It's just something you have to learn to treat and live with, and live as healthy as you can. And I think the main thing that's helped me with that is knowing that everything I go through is temporary. And that I don't have to have 100% good days. That's probably what's helped me the most. And also having a really steady schedule has helped me. Like the sleep, if I sleep more, then I feel like my ups and downs aren't as drastic. But yeah, that's everything. I know it's a whole hot mess, but my brain is a hot mess at the moment, and it's hard to kind of line everything up in a way that makes sense. But yeah, that's my story. I don't think there were any questions, but if anyone does have any questions, let me know, and I would love to answer.
That was great. Thank you for sharing.
I know I went like way over time.
That's okay. I don't think it was actually. It was like a minute. Okay. We're not even barely. So good.
And that's such a great message too, Cait, that like all of us here, we're talking about our stories, but there is no such thing as a success story, because we're all constantly dealing it. We're all constantly, maybe having a bad day or a good day or an in-between day. There is no other side. It's just learning to live with it. And that's maybe the hardest thing to come to terms with once you do realize that you have a mental illness, is that it's never going to go away. So
absolutely.
Thank you for sharing, babe.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's move on right along. And I have Maris next.
Yeah. Cool. Hi, you guys. Sorry, that was like the most awkward intro ever.
I just thought it was Brooklyn Nine-Nine when Jake's like, cool, 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 cool.
Yeah, that's me. I always feel like the more you say cool, the worse it is. So like, oh, okay. So my name is Maris. Most of you probably don't know me, but I run like under the cape, not the cape, under the cover. That's my Instagram. Plug it all right there.
In your YouTube.
But so my trigger warnings are I'm going to be talking about like depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, panic attacks, and self-harm. So if those are triggers, I'm sorry. A little background. I come from like a pretty large family. I'm the middle child of 7. So it's that. And then also my grandparents and my mom are very German. So that has to do with like a lot of like, you don't talk about things beyond the family. Like, I'm going to take out an earphone because I'm all in my head. But you don't talk a lot about things in your family because like this is a family problem. This is personal. We don't talk about it outside. So that's kind of like part of that. So I've always been depressed and I didn't know it. That's how I'm going to start this.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize I was depressed as a child. I always just kind of thought like, I didn't know I was depressed or suicidal as a child, but I kind of just thought like one day I just won't be here. Like when I was 10 years old, I remember sitting there and just being like, well, I'm never going to make it to 18 anyways. So like, it's chill. Yeah, that's sad. Sorry. Whoa.
It's okay.
So I thought about these thoughts and I put it in a little box and I was like, I'm not going to think about this. And as I was like starting to grow up, my other siblings, they're a lot more like eccentric and they had like a lot more issues than I did. So I was like, well, obviously my like issues don't matter as much. Like me having these feelings, it doesn't matter. So when I was in high school, I started wearing like this, you know, those like rubber bands like that you find on the balls. Like anytime I would feel like anything negative, I would just start like snapping it like all the time. And it got to the point where like I would like, it would just be like red all up and down my arm. And then so like, if it got to a point where it was like too red, I would just switch to the other arm. And like, and if it was like a really especially bad like week, I would switch to like just snapping it on my leg all the time. And so technically it wasn't like cutting or stuff. And like, I don't have like scars or anything from it, but like, I was just like constantly always like red and like bruised on like my arms all the time. And I was like, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Like, I'm totally fine. I'm fine. Because for some reason in my head when I was younger, I equated like mental illness with like people who actually had issues, who had like real problems, you know, kind of thing. I was like, I don't have any real problems in my life. Like, obviously I shouldn't have like any of this because I don't have any real problems, you know? And so with that mentality, I was just like, it's fine. But it wasn't fine. And so when I got into college, I started having like panic attacks like all the time. I was having like panic attacks. And then when I first started having them, I didn't know what was happening. I was just like, all of a sudden I couldn't breathe. I'd be sitting in a bathroom and I'd just start like crying and I couldn't breathe. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? I don't know what's happening. And then in 2016, there was one week where I was like having panic attacks like every single day. And there was like one day where I had them like 5 times in a row. And I was like, if this is the way life is, like, I really don't want to be alive. And like, I had never like, oh my gosh, I think I'm crying. It's cold. But like, I told myself, I was like, you know, if this is how it is, like, I don't want to be alive. And so I had gone home that summer and I was like, we're going to do it. And like, you know, like the big thing. And the only thing that stopped me was my mom had come home too early. And so basically if my mom had not come home early, like, I don't know. So I was like, after that had happened, I was like just determined to like ignore it, shove it down, put it back in a box, like it would be fine. and all that. And so like, but obviously if you just like ignore things, it's not gonna get any better. And so like I was having like still a lot of panic attacks. I was still like freaking out all the time, and I was having so much anxiety, and like it was getting to a point where like I was thinking about like dying like every single day, like all the time. And like I still do sometimes, but it's not as bad. And so I finally like graduated college. It's like 2 years later, and I think it was like a month before I joined BookTube. I was like, well, this is it. I'm done. I've finished all the things that I have on the checklist of my life. Like I have nothing else to like do and like live for. And it was like a hard time because I was getting like a lot of rejections after like graduating college. And so I was just like done. And so and like what stopped me this time I think was I actually got a message from my friend, and she was like, hey, do you want to meet me for coffee? And I was like, well, I guess I can just like do it after coffee. Like that was my mindset. But we had like this really long talk, and it was like the first time I had told anybody that I was like, this is how I'm feeling. And I got to the point where I was just like, I gotta talk to somebody, and I gotta tell somebody, and we gotta go through it. So I'm like super new to like mental illness, but I'm like going to a therapist, and we're doing that. So but the main thing is don't ignore it, especially if you have like suicidal tendencies and you have like dark thoughts. And if you're having dark thoughts, you need to share them with somebody, you know? Yeah. Any questions?
Thank you for sharing your story, Mary.
Yeah. That was fun. Woo.
But for the record, we're happy you're here because we
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's just weird. But thank you. And it's like, I'm probably gonna, I was talking the other day, and I'm probably gonna end up having to get on like antidepressants and all that, which there's no shame about that. We just didn't want to start off in antidepressants because I'm moving to another country, and I didn't want to like run out of like drugs while I was in another country. But yeah, so.
Yep. And they can find comparable ones overseas, or you can just like get a huge amount. Like when I studied abroad in Mexico, I would talk to my doctor. I was like, look, I'm gonna be gone. I need this many pills. And she was like, all right, here you go. So you can even do that until you figure out like what you're gonna do overseas.
Yeah.
Also, you can connect with like a doctor overseas before you go there, and that way that all the prescriptions can transfer and things. Because sometimes insurance and all that good stuff can cause a lot of problems once you've moved.
Yeah.
Where are you headed?
I'm moving to China.
Oh wow.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Face.
I really thought it was like Europe or something.
It's a big change.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm moving to teach for a year, so.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh.
I think Kevin just booted.
Did we lose Kevin?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Oh man.
That's
all
not
this talk
good.
about China made him leave.
I know.
He was like,
bye.
I'm outsies. Goodbye. Yeah.
Exit stage left. Did his laptop die? I don't know. He'll be back.
He was like mid-sentence when it turned off.
Yeah, that's weird. But yeah, a lot of things too is I was just like, I gotta figure out my anxiety and stuff before I move to another country, and so I don't freak out in the middle of the streets in a country that they don't even speak the same language, and they're just gonna be like, why is this white girl just crying in the middle of the street? And I'll be just like, I can't tell you because you don't speak English.
Kevin's computer tripped out.
Oh man.
Okay, got you.
Okay, let's look at the comments. I haven't looked at them the whole time. Let's see. People, I'm so proud of all of you for being here too. Just in the comments. I don't think
Mayana has a question.
What was the process? Where in the world, as Leah Jane said, first, I'm so happy that you're moving towards a healthier and you're around because you're a pretty great human. Thank you. You're pretty great too. What was the process for finding a therapist for you? So when I was looking for a therapist, at the time, my mom just knew that I was having panic attacks. She didn't know that I was suicidal. So what I did was I went to my family doctor and I told him, I was just like, hey, do you have any recommendations for therapists in the area that deal with panic attacks and all that? I was like, I'm not going to sit there and tell my mom because all that. But my mom still doesn't know, which, ooh, ooh. But other people in my life do, so it's fine. But so basically the process was I found someone who was able to deal with that. And then like once I was there, I was like, hey, do you also deal with these other issues as well? Kind of thing. And I think we stated earlier, yeah, that you don't have to stay with the same therapist that you first go to. The first therapist I went to just happened to be a good match for me. And so.
I lucked out with that too. My first therapist that I went to was actually an intern in our health facilities at my college. And
nice.
We had like different interns every year. And she just happened to be one that clicked well with me. So sometimes you're lucky, but if you do have to go to more than one, you're probably in the majority.
Yeah, mine's a grad student. And so, yeah, I feel you. Yeah. We just happened to it was just a very good fit. It was just a very good click. And it just was a good click. Yeah.
Miona asked the question.
Okay.
She says, I have OCD tendencies and depression, but I don't know for sure because I haven't been diagnosed and I can't go because of my living situation. And I wanted to know if anyone could give me advice because I have no idea what to do. My mom refuses to acknowledge my sister and I's mental illnesses, even though she works in mental health.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's difficult. I had a similar situation when I was living with my parents. They didn't really exist, or they didn't acknowledge, not exist. They didn't acknowledge the mental health thing. There's more just like a insult they threw around. I will say there are some community mental health centers that I'm not, depending on your age and things like that, you can get help there. And they can also help you with resources if you don't have the insurance correct, if you don't know what to do with insurance, things like that, they can sometimes point you in the right direction. So those exist to help a lot of people. I don't know if that helps or not, but
Maya, I'll DM you because, like I said, my dad's a clinical psychologist. He's actually one of the top in the country. That sounds like I'm bragging, but seriously, he once scared the state of New York without getting out of his recliner. It was weird.
Oh,
but
wow.
I'll DM you and see if he has any resources to give you for your area because he's super well connected. And if anyone else needs some help finding resources, just DM me. My Twitter handle is @KerriBookbell. And I'll see what I can do to hook people up with resources. And